Hello and welcome. I'm so excited that we have these wonderful panelists here tonight to talk with us about Dia de Muertos, which is such it's such a powerful holiday and such a special way to remember our loved ones. And it's always really been a touching moment for me when I get to talk about that in class. And tonight it's even better because we get to learn about it from Marta and Nelly, and also Veronica, who's going to be joining us any moment. So right now I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists. And then I have some questions I'm going to ask them. And we're going to get to learn from them and with them. And then afterwards, I have some ideas for ways you can celebrate Dia de Muertos in your classrooms, as well as Voces freebie. And then at the very end, we will also have some time for questions with our panelists, actually before the ways you can celebrate. So here we go. Our first panelist is Marta Ruiz Yedinak. She is a Spanish teacher born and raised in Mexico and has spent 22 years inspiring students to see language as a bridge to culture and connection. She is the author of Xolo and La Princesa y el Guerrero, and the host of Cuéntame, a podcast for Spanish learners that ranks in the top 1% worldwide. Felicidades, Marta. That's so amazing. Our next amazing panelist is Nelly Andrade-Hughes, a language specialist and Spanish educator from Michoacán, Mexico. Nelly teaches all levels of Spanish in Ohio and brings her love for the language to everything she does. She is the author of 7 novels for language learners, and her first independently published book, Keiko, will soon be available through Teacher's Discovery. Woo! Felicidades, Nelly! Nelly also presents and coaches teachers across the country, sharing strategies for acquisition-driven instruction. We will have one more panelist. She has not quite joined us, but our final panelist is Verónica Valdivia-Vera. Excuse me. Originally from Mexico, where she practiced law, today she lives in Michigan, where she brings her passion for Spanish to her children's classrooms to share culture and professional expertise. And her professional expertise as a human resource business partner for the Caterpillar Global Mobility Team. Veronica is deeply committed to language, culture, and connection as she blends those interests in her work and presence. So I'm very excited because these are amazing women with wonderful things to share. And I'm just going to really quickly check and see if Veronica is on yet, so we can spotlight her if she is. And I do not see her quite yet, so I'm going to send her a message, and then we can go ahead and get started. Are you ready, Nelly and Martha? Yay!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did we spotlight them, Erin, or were you able to?
Let me see if I can.
Actually, I can do it right now.
And you know what? I will chat you if.
Does that look good?
Yes, that looks perfect.
All right, here we go. Our first question is. Oh, sorry, it froze for a minute. Okay, here we go. Our first question is, how do you explain Dia de Muertos to someone who has never experienced it before? Who would like to jump in?
Go first.
Okay.
Do I go? Do you go?
You go.
Go ahead, Marta.
Well, I guess I just start by telling them that it's not the Mexican Halloween, because oh my gosh, that always makes me cringe. And in all honesty, a lot of ignorance everywhere about it. You see it. Like I am a fan of cooking shows, and I watch the baking championships all the seasons, and every time that they have the Halloween baking championship, I cringe at when they have the challenge of Dia de Muertos cooking. Like, no. So that is first and foremost, is not a spooky thing. Is not mockery of death, because a lot of people think that we are making fun of it and ridiculing, and that's not the case. We really it's all about honoring our loved ones that have passed, and really it's like a family reunion. So that's what I have to say, Nelly.
It will be the opposite to mockery. It is a day when we remember all those that left this world. And many people, it's not just humans, pets too. that have passed away. And it's the day when we really think about them and celebrate their memories, celebrate their lives, everything they meant to us and still mean to us. So it's a day when we just feel closer to those that have left. It's about remembering all those beautiful people that are no longer with us. It has nothing to do with mockery or spookiness or anything. It's a day when we become together to think of all the beautiful things those people left us.
Mm-hmm. It is truly like a family reunion. And before the movie Coco, that honestly has facilitated my job quite a bit, because I remember when I first started teaching it, I could not understand why it was so difficult for my students to understand the concept, because, I was born in that culture. It was so easy to understand. And they just could never, it's like, so who eats the food? Like, and I'm like, well, but we do too. And it's like, but how, so there's so many abstract things that are just hard to understand if you were not part of it. So I think that the movie really facilitates that. But before Coco, I used to tell them, well, it's just like, imagine when, like, I go to Mexico once a year, that's back then when I was going only once a year. And then, my family gets together with my friends and everybody, and then they put all the food that I like. They want to invite me my favorite tacos, my favorite things, because I'm visiting. So it's just kind of like that same thing. You're gathering and celebrating that relative that you don't see only once a year. So, but yeah, it is a difficult concept if you were not really part of that. Don't you think, Nelly? I don't know if you did struggle with that too.
Yes, especially because it's so close to Halloween that
Mhm.
they want to think of the celebration of Dia de Muertos as if it were something to scare people. Oh, you go to the cemeteries and, some people spend the night at the cemetery. So it must be about the scary ghost. And it has nothing to do with that. So I think also the fact that they fall on almost the same dates makes it more difficult for kids to understand that it's not about scary, it's not about ghosts, is even though we talk about the spirits coming back, it's a whole different way. They come back to visit, to, like Marta said, like when we go visit our families in Mexico, it's the same concept. They come back to visit, to be with us, to eat with us, to spend time with us again. You feel them, and it is true, we feel them more present on those days, November 1st and 2nd, because we're really thinking about them. Is not like we don't think about the people that left in other times, but life gets busy and sometimes you just don't have the time. But those days we really focus on thinking about those people that we loved and are no longer with us.
Mhm.
That's truly beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. This is off to a wonderful start. I love hearing all about this. Okay, the next question is, are there particular foods, music, or decorations that are most important in your celebration?
Well,
No.
decorations, definitely. We have to have las flores de cempasúchil. We have to have the skulls, the catrinas, papel picado, all the things that go in the ofrendas and the represent all the elements. You have to have something that represents fire, that represents water, that represents wind, that represents earth. So all those decorations are part of the celebration. That do you have to have a huge ofrenda with all kinds of different things? No, everybody has different things depending on what they enjoy, what they like, what they can do, the space they have. So it's different, but those definitely are, decorations are part of the celebration. Foods and drinks, that depends on the person, on the family, on what the people that are coming back to visit us liked. So those days you make what they enjoyed, what they love, what they liked. So some people will have mole, some people will have tamales, some people will have pozole, some people will have Coke, because their favorite drink was Coca-Cola. Some people will have mezcal, coffee. That depends on every family, every person is different.
Yeah, and pan de muerto, right? Like
Right.
that is like that would be probably the tradition throughout. But like Nelly says, yeah, it all depends because it is all about honoring the, you know, whatever that person that is coming to visit enjoyed in life. But yeah, all of that.
That all sounds wonderful. How do different generations, such as grandparents, parents, and children, how do they experience the holiday differently? Or do they experience it differently?
You were cutting a little bit from me. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. The question is, how do different generations in your family, such as grandparents?
Oh,
Well, I think as we get older, we pay more attention on those things. Like I don't remember when I was little, it was, you know, we're going to the cemetery, we're going to go clean the graves, we're going to make sure that everybody has flowers. But I don't think I paid as much attention as for the meaning of the holiday, because, you know, you're a child, you go and you play around and you're sounds weird, but having fun cleaning, making sure that everything looks pretty, putting the flowers out. It wasn't until as, you know, I got older as an adult. And I think now that I'm here in the United States, away from my family, you know, you start missing, I miss when my grandma passed, I miss when my grandpa passed. So you're missing all those moments. You're missing saying goodbye to people. So I think it means more. You know, like probably when I moved here in my 20s, I was not putting an ofrenda in my house. I was not doing things like that. Now I am. I have a little ofrenda in my house. I put a little one in my classroom with my grandpa and my grandma's pictures there. So I think, you know, as we get older, and same thing, like my mom, her ofrendas have gotten bigger, which means, you know, there are more people that need to go on the ofrenda as we get older too. So it has changed. I think as an adult, you see it differently than you see when you are a teenager or a young child. I don't know what you think, Marta.
yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think the youngest you are, or the younger you are, the least seriously you take certain things. In my case, I remember when I was funny enough that my sister Nelly and I are from the same state in Mexico, right? So I went to college in Morelia, the capital, and there, yes, and then in Morelia, well, in Pátzcuaro is where you have one of the biggest celebrations for Day of the Dead, where you have international, you know, tourism coming and all that stuff. And I remember when I was in college that kids, well, college kids would rent buses to go there and whatever, or go in their cars and whatnot, and then just go partying. And I remember feeling very uncomfortable with that because it's like, what are you doing that? Like, there's people that are really in the cemeteries, you know, doing what they think is, or what they feel is a celebration with their loved ones, and here you are drinking and partying just because there's a lot of people and whatever. So I didn't really enjoy that much because of that. But then now that I'm older too, I'm less judgmental and thinking, well, it is true. Like the younger you are, you're just thinking of the party, you know, like you're starting to feel more of those things, as Nelly was saying, you know, you start feeling more the absences of people that are part of your life. And yeah, we just reflect. I think that is probably not cultural. I think that is just in general, you know, we just grow up, I guess, and take things that are seriously better.
And I also think that now we are more and more proud of our indigenous roots than we were in the past in Mexico. I really have seen, and even though I live over here, but I think there have been a growth on that part of being Mexican. You know, in the past, I feel like it wasn't we weren't as proud. No, I don't know if it's the right way to say it, but maybe not. We didn't manifest, or everybody. I feel like more and more people are more and more proud of our indigenous roots or ancestors. All that. My grandma, my dad's side, she was 100% Purépecha, but she never really talked about it. She never showed much of her culture, of who she was. And I wish she would have. Now, as I get older, I never thought about it growing up. And now I'm really proud of that part of who I am. 25% Purépecha, and I'm very proud of it. And I think the older we get to, and the new generations are becoming more and more proud of that part of who we are. I think in the past, it was more like, oh, let's be proud of the European part of, our bloodline. And I think now we are going more into like, hey, look at all these beautiful traditions, all these beautiful languages, all these beautiful crafts, all this amazing history, everything we have from our past. Let's make sure that comes to the front of what we are. I don't know. I have that feeling. I don't know how you feel about it.
It is true. It's absolutely true. And racism in Mexico is a big thing too. It is, you're right. Let's just call it as it is. And I do remember, even hearing from cousins or people that believe that they're better than others, talking about our indigenous people as esos bleep indios, and then I'm like, why are you talking like that? Like we should really cherish our culture more and treat them really like the treasures that they are. But it is true, like over time that has diminished, and I do feel the same as you do. And I don't know if it's our perception because we're on this side, and then it is a change that we have experimented, or if it really has happened there or not. But I do see it also like now I see more of those people that probably in the past would have been the kind, like you're saying, that they cherish more the European side than the other. I see them celebrate more this, this kind of celebrations that we have in our culture altogether. It seems that there's more pride now. I agree, but yeah, don't really completely understand the reasons.
Thank you for sharing all that. This is some really deep conversation, and I think it's really a wonderful conversation for everyone to be able to listen to. Okay, next question. What's one thing you wish everyone outside of Mexico understood about this tradition? And I know you've covered that a little bit, but if there was one thing that you think is important that everyone, students, teachers, families, understands.
It's about love. It's a celebration of love for your family.
Yeah, that. And there's, again, like there's just really nothing creepy about it. And then I also would say though that sometimes as I am showing videos or pictures or whatever, and then I hear kids laughing, because they're teenagers, then they laugh. And then I feel really offended, and then of course offended in my heart, but then with my head, I know where we're standing, right? And then I have to explain. Now, before we start, I tell them I'm going to show you some of the same thing that I have to do with Independence Day, with the ceremony of El Grito. It's like before I was like, wait a minute, like they're laughing, and I'm like standing and feeling like my goosebumps, and then they're like, wait a minute, you can't laugh at these things. It's not funny, But so now I do a little bit of talking before. I'm going to show you some of the most what is the word I'm looking for, like the closest or the most beloved traditions in my country that I really need you to look at from a very respectful standing. I don't know, I'm losing my English here, but and I do tell them, I said, if you're gonna see things that are very different to you, that you're gonna think, oh, it's weird. Like I tell them every year, the first day of the school, I tell them, if I could help you get rid of that word and cross it off completely from your dictionary for life, I would be the most accomplished teacher ever. Like, there's no weird, you know, we are the weird ones for other cultures, right? So it's not weird, it's just different than what you're used to, and you need to observe it with interest. Okay, this is so different. Let's watch, let's have curiosity and inquire more, and just kind of like tickle your brain and see what is the reason behind this or this, because it's so different. So don't laugh or say that it's weird, because you are offending people that you shouldn't, you know. So just kind of help them and then that problem was fixed so that we could be watching it. So I just realized that for me, when I show some of those things, it's so natural for me. Then I'm like, you just show it, and it's fine. And then I started seeing all those reactions that really poke me, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, I am a feisty person. So for me, having to calm down and not yell at them and cry and leave the room takes a bit. So then I need to do a little pre-teaching. It's not that simple. I had to understand that concepts that are so easy for me, like what I was saying at the beginning, things that are like, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer. Why is it so hard? I'm telling you that it's just like you put the food they like and you put the things to help them find you. And what is so hard to understand? For me, you know, I need to also be more humble too, and say that I realize that it's not as simple. So just more pre-teaching I would recommend before you do any of that.
What an important point, and what a powerful gift to your students. Right. Like for me, that's always a magical moment when they go from like laughing at things that are different to being interested in the world around them. And that's one of my favorite things about being a language teacher is you know, helping kids to understand that we're all human beings and we all have things that are in common about us and the same, but it's the things that are different that make the world an interesting place. Because if we're all the exact same, it would be so boring and there'd be no color and no excitement, no joy, like no innovation. It's such an important point, and one of, I think, as language teachers, one of the most important points for us to bring home.
Yeah.
That gave me chills, Marta, when you were talking. I love it.
Thank you.
And it was also an excellent segue into the next question, which is sort of similar. So if you don't have anything to add, that's okay. But if you have something to add, we are all ears. For students learning about this tradition for the first time, so the last question was for anyone, but specifically for students, what's the most important message for them to understand? And it might be the same.
Yeah, for the kids to understand about this, you mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Is there anything more student specific? But I think you kind of segued into that naturally in your answer. I just want to make sure you don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, I think like what Marta said, that is not weird, it's not creepy, it's not spooky, it's different, but it's beautiful, it's amazing. It is a tradition that is so old and means so much to people. Just that, to understand that is just about, they all have loved ones, they all have lost loved ones. So just to understand that it's just about remembering those people and remembering everything they made us feel when they were alive, and what they meant to us when they were alive, and still to this day, when, you know, when you wish they were still here many times for many things, you know, you just, it's about that. It's about giving them a couple days to bring them back and bring back all those memories, all those things they taught us, all those things they gave us, all that love they gave us. It's just about love.
Yeah, and even if we didn't really meet them, you know, I think that that is one of the main points of this celebration, that how many of us really know who our great-great-grandfather's name was? You know, so we just get lost through generations and not really that far back. You know, like if we ask our students, what is the name of your great-grandfather, unless he was alive when they met them, probably they would remember, but a lot of them don't. So I think that is just so important also to see it from that perspective, that through this kind of celebrations, you are preserving your family tree, your heritage. You're not gonna get lost, you know. in the tradition or in that movie, it says that if you get forgotten, then it's the ultimate death. Well, I am not really sure about that, but I remember my mom always saying that, you know, she said, when I'm gone, just know that I'm gonna be there as long as you remember me. You know, like I am gonna live forever in your memory, and now I'm gonna cry. So that is how profound this is. It is about it's like the person that you that passed is still there with you as long as it's in your memory. So that is what Day of the Dead is all about. Like you bring them back, you honor them, you celebrate with them, you feel them closer and the love with you. So that's what it
Yeah,
is.
that's true. Like I know what my great grandparents look like because my mom has those pictures on her ofrenda. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. I know what all my grandma's sisters look like when they were little because you know there are pictures on the ofrendas with them. My son knows what my great grandparents look like because my mom makes sure that I got those pictures and I have those pictures to put up. So yeah, it is about just knowing
Mhm.
where you're coming from and knowing your heritage, the legacy that they all left behind. Like those days you hear stories about, you know, like I know a story about my grandma, my great grandma, and how feisty she was because those stories come on those days, you know, when you start looking at pictures and you start asking questions about those people in the pictures, because pictures makes you curious. You know, you see somebody that you didn't meet and you ask questions. Who was this person? What do you know about this person? And we start getting to know people that we never saw, but we know stories about them. And those stories will be passed down. Marta has heard some of the stories of my family too, because, you know, it's just those stories go to the next person, the next generation, and we just keep their memories alive.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
So beautiful.
and I would like to add that also it's a celebration of joy, right? We remember our loved ones with joy. And that's why music is a big part of it. You know, like one of the previous questions was, what type of music do we play? I have the tradition of playing this specific singer that my brother and my nephew loved, and it's Alejandro Fernandez. He's a
Awesome.
big ranchero singer. And it's joy and telling the stories, as you're saying, you know, we remember in them, and it's a way to keep them alive. And I always tell my children, let's share a story, a happy memory, because we're remembering under the light of happiness. So Dia de Muertos is it's a day of joy as well.
You nailed it. And you know what? This is another good thing that I had to explain my kids that I didn't have it in my plans. Like when you're showing them the pictures and the videos and whatever, they feel like, you know, like they see this skeleton laughing and whatever. That is when the misunderstanding comes. They feel like we are making fun of death. That is a mockery, and it's not. I'm like, no. We're not making fun of it. Like, my goodness gracious, like Katrina is like yeah, what more iconic, right? It's like it is a way for you. Like, look at all of the representations of death in Day of the Dead. Nobody's sad. You don't see pain. You don't see blood. That's what I'm saying. Like, no costumes, please. There's no costumes. You don't need to dress up. No blood, no monsters, or nothing. Nobody's in pain. Everybody's happy. Everybody's beautiful and healthy. Healthy as you can be being dead, right? But everybody's dancing and drinking and having all the fun. Because yes, it is all about happiness. Is yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's a little bit of making fun, but more fun of the concept of death. Because I remember growing up, part of some of the schoolwork I would have would be writing calaverita. So a calaverita is like a rhyme where you would tell a story in a rhyme way of how you or someone that you love escaped death, right? Like it's a very short verse. Like I would say, like Veronica was sitting working on her HR stuff, and then death came away, or La Huesuda, the bony one, came to get her. But Veronica said, and then you would say something that is very particular to that person. Like in my case, I would say, but Veronica says, you have to follow the company policy. And then La Huesuda went away. So you know, like would write funny rhymes about, I guess, like the concept of death, not so much about the or loved ones or the dead ones, but also
Yeah, you're right. And if you remember, like those calaveritas that yeah, they're so funny, and it would be a really good activity in class, but it is hard. I don't know if I would be able to ever do that, but you make those calaveritas of people that are alive, right? So like you don't make a calaverita of your dead grandpa. You know, this is something that yeah, you have the fun with that. But it is it is just not a creepy approach to dying, if you will. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's
Some people say that, oh, Mexicans are not afraid of death.
oh.
It's not, that's not it. I think it's more, we know how short life is.
right.
We understand that one thing we all have for certain in this world, and is that we are going to die
Mhm.
sooner or later, hopefully later. But that's something that we all know for sure. So it's not about, we're not afraid of death. We just know life is short, and we need to make sure that happiness is part of our life, and being with our family and enjoying time with our loved ones is at the top, because life is short and we need to make sure that we spend the time we have with the people we love and being happy and enjoying life.
Right. And as we're talking about, you know, the cultural the different cultures, right, and traditions, and so the way how, and even in Mexico, because of the European influence, how we interpret death, it's under that European light versus, as we're saying, the Day of the Dead, Dia de Muertos, has those indigenous roots, and the concept of death and that culture is different, right? It's not the end, it's just people transcend to the other world, the underworld.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I all the things I felt a little sad, like happy and sad, and also very happy to be hearing the conversation. So the next question is, how would you recommend that teachers like myself, who are observers of the tradition but have not experienced it firsthand, adequately teach about Dia de Muertos in the classroom?
I think involving the parents could be a good idea. And I'm saying by my own experience, when I got more involved in this tradition with other kids was when my children were in high school. And their history teacher asked me, because she knew I'm Mexican, and she said, you know, I want to set an ofrenda. Would you have the chance to help me? And I thought like, oh my goodness, yes, wonderful. And I so we I offer what I knew, which, you know, I don't know everything about Dia de Muertos, just how we celebrated my family, and that was a way to I guess to help her, and that's how I started to, as you were saying earlier, you know, they were commenting earlier, the first thing that we would tell the students was like, it's not a holiday, like Halloween. Katrina is not a custom for Halloween, right? So, but I think getting maybe like the parents involved in the process could be helpful.
I agree. I think it's really important because that takes away, like you said, it's not Halloween, and it takes away the fear, right? I've done it with as young as second and third graders, and it's been really powerful for my kids. I had a kid who had experienced a loss of a sibling, and he said, I'm so glad we can talk about this here because I can't talk about it anywhere else. And
Mhm.
that's part of the power of the holiday. Nelly and Marta, what else do we have to add?
Well, I would say just involving parents is a good idea, and then also you need to know your class. Like I remember years and years ago that we did I had to make altares, and then one of the girls in my class you know, she just could, she hadn't had experience like a close, like a recent death or anything of anybody, but it was very moving for her. And then she cried and she asked to leave, and then the parent called me and whatever. So I didn't get in trouble or anything, but what I'm saying is that you need to know your students, I guess, and then just, you know, telling them it is, because like for us it's not that, I mean, it's a strong thing, but it's not traumatizing, you know. So like yeah, you need to know your students. And then one other thing that I was gonna say, I'm trying to remember who asked me, but it was not that recent, that's why I don't remember. But there was this teacher, I think, or this friend of mine, I don't remember if it was that or if it was a former student, I don't know. But someone asked me a few years back, sent me a message asking, hey, I am thinking about setting up an altar in my house for my family, whatever. But I want to know if it's okay, if it's appropriate. Is this a, you know, would it be an insult? Would it be like the cultural appropriation? No, it's okay. In my opinion, I don't know if you guys differ, but I don't, if you feel it in your heart, it's like, come on,
Yeah.
like love family and honoring your family and honoring love and remembering people that impacted you and that are part of your lives. Absolutely is not anything cultural appropriation. So please be, yes, you can. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
Yeah.
agree. Is
right?
I agree as well.
yeah, if somebody wants to do it, I had around the pandemic time, around the same time my stepdad passed away. A person I know from Puerto Rico, she also lost her father. We were about the same time. And she asked me, it's okay, do you think it would be okay if I put an ofrenda up for my father? And of course it is okay. Definitely it is okay. The only thing I would recommend for teachers in their classrooms is please avoid anything that is stereotypical. Make sure that the materials you're using are respectful and are correct, are like, they're really showing what the culture is all about. So there are things always out there that are done by people that don't really know what they're talking about. So make sure that anything you're using in your classroom is something that is showing the reality of what we do and what we think and what we feel. And if you put an ofrenda, you know, like about things like the sombreros and the maracas and all the stereotypical things that are Mexican. So that's one thing I will, and you know, I will tell
Yes.
every teacher, please, 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 please just avoid anything that screams a stereotype.
So important. Thank you for all of the information and that important reminder, because we need to be representing everything appropriately to our students because we're their gateway, right? We're their gateway to the world. Another really important privilege that language teachers share. This has been so amazing and the conversation has been so phenomenal that we're going to transition into questions from the audience just because we had a few and I want to make sure we have time for them. So if you have a question, please feel free to throw it in the chat. I've already been collecting a few, so I'm going to go with the ones I've already been collecting. But the first question is there a good video available, and they have YouTube, ? That you could recommend for students that really shows a realistic picture of the holiday?
I honestly don't have a specific one. I know that whenever I show some, I just search and then I look for one that I like because of the length and the appropriateness, because then sometimes you find just like people that are being tourists and taking videos that are not really what you need. So I don't know. I don't have anything. What do you have anything specific, Nelly?
There was one from, I think Televisa made one, like a commercial about Dia de Muertos en Pátzcuaro. Was even narrated by, I can't remember his name, this soap opera actor that was the Marlboro Boys for the longest time, that has really nice,
Oh, sí, sí,
I
sí.
can't remember his name. But
My mom had a crush on him. I can't remember.
There's this video that Televisa made. It's only, I think, a couple minutes long, but that shows like
Juan Ferrara.
Sí, el lago de Pátzcuaro, shows Janitzio, shows the fishermen with their butterfly nets, so shows some arches with the cempasúchil flowers. So that one has some good images, and he has the most beautiful voice too, so that one is a good one. It's Televisa Día de Muertos. I think if you Google that, you might be able to find it.
Thank you.
I found one from National Geographic that worked really well for high schoolers. It's a little bit longer. I think it is like 10 minutes. It could be too long if they're young, but National Geographic I thought they did a really good job. And
Was that-
it's available for free in YouTube as well. National Geographic.
I will have to look it up. Do you happen to know? There's one I used to show with my students. Is that the one that they filmed in Oaxaca?
Oh, I no, I think they also go to Pátzcuaro in Michoacán.
I will look that up. Thank you so much for these ideas. Okay, our next audience question is, do people make ofrendas for their friends?
Say it again. Do people make ofrendas?
For their friends.
For you make one, well, that is how I make it, my mom. One with everybody.
Right.
Every picture of every person that you want to remember in honor is in the same ofrenda, kind of like in the Coco movie. You know how you see the whole family, everybody is in there. Same thing. You just make one for everybody.
So I found that some of my friends are very excited and they don't know how to do it and they want to do it. So what I started doing a couple of years ago, I just asked people that close friends, otherwise would have a huge group. I said mine and I said, if you want to come and help me, and I include them in the setup, and they bring a picture of their loved one if they feel comfortable doing that, and they bring something maybe if they're those with mostly food, and then we close the day with some Mexican traditional meal.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those ideas. We also had Nancy, I believe, that wanted to talk about and ask you a question about a project that she does. So I'm going to let Nancy have the floor for just a moment.
Hi there, I'm Nancy. I missed the introductions at the beginning. I'm in Canada, in Vancouver. I don't know if anyone else is in Canada.
Hi,
Um,
Nancy.
Okay, hi.
Welcome.
Where are you physically sitting? Where are you, people?
I'm in my classroom because we had parent-teacher conferences
But you're
today.
But what
What
state?
In
What
Wisconsin.
country?
Wisconsin.
Okay,
Here.
Ohio.
okay. Good, thank you. Thank you for having this. This is so cool. So as a high school teacher, I teach French and Spanish, and I'm from Argentina, no Mexican. And we often like to, in high school, we just see the kids 3 hours a week. I just have an hour and a half with them, a few times. And as you know, and sometimes we just want to do physical projects that are kind of artistic. And the ofrenda I've done in the past, but it takes a long time and a lot of delicate things. So I'm not kind of committed to do that every year. So there's a little project. Are these offensive? Like you see so many, of course, people do the little sugar skulls. Do any of these offend you? So mine is cutting out a skeleton, kind of trying to mimic the skeletons that we see dancing on the papel picado. So I do papel picado with the grade 10s, but the grade 9s, we cut out skeletons and they find someone who has passed away. So my question is always, like, it's an opportunity for me to say, find a person in Mexico who is a Mexican who has passed away. Or recently I've been doing take characters from Coco. And it's a grade 9 level for me, first year level opportunity for them to use language and to introduce this person not say how they died, but just describe this person, say their name, and then they just do the art, and then we just have skeletons around the room. So how do you feel about that? Like, it's not someone they love, but it's a skeleton in the style of papel picado doing something. And then they kind of dress it up with paper.
I don't know. I would not do a skeleton. I don't know. I don't know if it's offensive or not, but it's just not the way we represent them. I would that project that you're saying reminds me of one that I used to do, that it was like after that experience with that girl, like I said, okay, let's do altares or ofrendas for famous people that passed. You know, it can be, you know, anybody, or it could be even in, you know, in movies, whatever. And so they did that. So we do like the authentic looking, if there's such thing, in with cutouts and whatever, and make, it's not like a, it is like the picture of a of a table, and they do the ofrenda there, so it's not like in dimensions, you know, it's like in
Oh,
monument
two-dimensional, like a
so that, yeah,
drawing.
so that, and then we do that, and
Oh.
the picture of that artist or that icon, whatever they're
Okay.
doing like that, because I don't know what you think, Nelly, but I just, or what is your name again? Because I just see Zoom user.
Nancy. Nancy.
No, but our other Mexican panelist, I don't remember
Oh,
her name.
Nelly.
Veronica.
I want to include her also in the.
Oh,
Veronica, I
I
think.
just read Zoom user, but Veronica. Okay, so I
Yes.
don't know what you, Veronica and Nelly, think, but I it's not disrespectful. It's just not how we represent them in that setting. I don't know. What do you think?
No, because just a pure skeleton, no, you know, like you have la Catrina and el Catrín, but that's not the skeleton part of it. So either that kind of ofrenda that you can do just in a flat paper, that could be an option that make it faster and they can decorate and draw, or una calavera de azúcar, sugar skull, that would be probably better, you know, creating all the colors, and just avoid the mustaches and, you know, the sombreros, but just the colorful with the eyes, just like Veronica looks today, her beautiful makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I think it would be better to do just either a sugar skull or a ofrenda more than an actual skeleton, because yeah, that's not something that goes much with the decoration, so the celebration of the
So
yeah,
that-
the skeletons I
don't worry.
just saw in the papel picado, like all the papel picado has a skeleton playing
Yes,
guitar and a
when they're
skeleton
behind in the
at
papel picado, yeah, but like the actual, like in other representations, like if you look at the ofrendas, you will see the Catrina or el Catrín, or you will see sugar skulls, but not like the skeletons.
Oh, okay.
But unless I misunderstood, Nancy, but you said that that skeleton was supposed to be the person that they were
Mhm.
researching, the person that they were honoring with that, right?
Yeah, so then like,
It's not
You'll
just
do
like
an-
a background skeleton, like, you know, the other altares.
no, it's like, so it has a piece of
Right.
clothing on it to represent, just to make it, dress it up, to
Yeah.
put a hat on or you don't like that.
No, it's not that I don't like it. I honestly don't find it offensive at all. So if I'm just saying that if what you're looking at is to show your students like the closest to the
It would be the
real
altar.
representation of it, then, you know, it is in a different setting. I am not offended by it, are you, girls? Like, I wouldn't feel
No.
offended at that.
But
It's
you
just
prefer the
not,
altar.
because it's
altar is
the way
better.
we do it.
Yeah.
That's the way
Yeah.
it is. Like,
The altar is
you
the
know,
altar.
more
Yeah.
Yeah.
authentic. Yeah.
Oh.
Or like the sugar skull, like Nelly was saying. So
Yeah,
that
drawing the
I did
sugar.
also, and I can't do the sugar skulls. I know that there's some molds and
Yeah,
things that you can
too
do,
much.
but it takes forever,
Oh,
and
paper.
the periods are 45
Paper.
minutes.
Right, right.
Yep, so that's what
Paper
I do. I do
ones.
them in paper. And that is another really interesting thing, because, you know, you write the name of the person that you want to give it to. You know, you give the calaverita. I remember going and buying, and then the person there grabs the skull, and then it's like, what name do you want? And then they just pipe the name of the person that you're going to give it to. And I remember when I first said that, asked them to do that, they were like, what? Yeah, you know, give it to your best friend or to what? Like, I'm not gonna, like, they felt like it was so creepy. How do you mean that I'm gonna give them a skeleton, like a skull with their names? That is like a threat. And I'm like, oh, but you see what I'm saying? The clash of cultures here. Like I was like, yeah, it's so exciting and it's so fun to receive a calaverita with
I'm
the name.
sorry,
And
can you explain that? Giving a skull, I didn't know you gave skulls to friends. Carry on, explain.
The sugar
wanna
skull,
do it? Yeah, go ahead.
sometimes you can, like when it's the actual sugar skull, you know how they are decorated with, what is it called? What they use to decorate cakes?
It's like the
Icing?
Icing, yeah, like with some kind of icing and sugar. Well,
royal
many times when you are buying them at the market, they have the black one and they just write the name of the person alive, a person that is alive.
Yeah.
On their forehead. Like I will go to the market and say, oh, I like this one. Can you put Marta on? And then I will give it to Marta as a gift.
Yes, and that is a great gift. I would love that because you do that for people that are special to you.
Right.
It's a gesture of love. And then here I am trying to pass that on and like tell the kids, yeah, do calaverita and write the name of your best friend or your mom or whomever you want to. What? What do you want me to give a skeleton with my mom's name? That is like a threat. And I was like, hold my moly. Do you see how ignorant in my part also? Like assumptions are such a big thing. Like I was assuming that, yeah, they're gonna get it, like because it was so obvious, so me, you know. So I had to explain to them, no, you're not wishing death to this person. It's
Yeah.
a gift. It's like te doy tu calaverita, right? I'm gonna go give you a calaverita. It's a
And-
gift. It's beautiful.
And it is an honor to receive a calaverita
It
from
is,
a friend in
yeah.
Mexico. Yeah. And you know what I was thinking that the UNAM, which is the biggest university in Mexico, they have a lot of resources online. And I wonder if they have something that can be useful. And those, I haven't checked their website, but I know that a lot of stuff is available at no cost. And UNAM is, it's the biggest university in Mexico and I think Latin America. And I'm also thinking that the SEP, the Secretary of Education in Mexico, I wonder if they have some materials available because I understand, like as a teacher, you have that time constraint, right? Like you cannot get into very elaborated things because you have just so much time and you have so many kids. So I wonder if they will have some ideas on those websites, and I can share them. I can find the links and share them with Erica.
That would be wonderful. Though I have to reveal a secret surprise to everyone. Our Zoom user, who has been an amazing third panelist that I am so grateful for, is not my friend Veronica, who is going to be here. She had a last minute family thing come up. So thank you, Zoom user, our mystery panelist. You've been amazing. You contributed so much. I really appreciate that.
Your makeup is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Thank
And
you.
The ironic thing is my friend Veronica was going to put on Katrina makeup tonight, and then she had a last minute family emergency had to attend to, but so it was appropriate or well, appropriate either way, but kind of an interesting coincidence. We have one more really quick question, and then I do have a couple of things and a free resource to share with everyone. So the last really quick question, if we could answer it quickly, is, and there's two, do children actually eat the sugar skulls like chocolate bunnies, or are they thrown away?
No chocolate.
No, you don't need the sugar skulls. It's just
Yeah, you don't need them.
that
They're
Oh,
good.
have been sitting in the market. No, you don't need.
We ate them.
Oh, you did? No, we didn't. It's a
See,
decoration. My mom will be like,
Well,
no way.
Yeah, the thing is that I think that if you open them, like if you get them right away, probably. But the thing is that they're in the market, they're open, everybody's touching them, there's flies everywhere. So my
I
mom don't let
know.
us eat them either.
I know.
Whatever
And
good decoration.
We were not allowed to eat them. My mom, those are for decoration purposes only. That was my mom.
see, this is the funniest thing. So we would use them for decoration and then we would eat them because they would accidentally break. And then at that point, there's nothing you can do with them but to eat them. And being kids, we didn't think about being handled by all those people at the market or anything. Like, oh, candy.
And then the last super speed question is, can teachers put on makeup at school?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Unless your principals are all like, no makeup.
Yeah,
Our
I
school is
mean,
like that. We cannot wear any kind of makeup and stuff. I think you can do half maybe, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I think that we could. I've tried in the past, but I would have to get up way too early, and I've never done it. So I'm always worried that I'm not gonna do a good job, and then I'm gonna look like something that is not. Yes, and I don't care if you are white, black, green, whatever the color you are. Please don't ever think. I am from that point of view. I don't know if maybe I am again stepping into, but that the cultural appropriation things, I think that applies to some things and some others don't. So I think that when we overdo it, extremes are always not okay. So we need to keep our center, and
Yeah,
I
things like
think it's okay if you do it.
yeah, putting up an ofrenda to honor your loved ones. I think to me that is something that says, I love your culture, it's beautiful, and I want to participate in it. And to me, that's not cultural appropriation. Dressing up as the Katrina for Halloween, on the other hand, that will, to me, I don't know if Marta feels differently about that, but it's not, or to me, like, it's not a Halloween costume. It's not Halloween.
Mhm.
So putting that as a Halloween costume, that's something I don't like. I don't appreciate. That doesn't mean that other people from Mexico don't feel differently than I do, but I don't like people using our traditions as a Halloween costume.
Yeah,
That-
no
That
Halloween.
makes sense.
And one other thing that I was gonna say that is really good as a wrap-up thing with your students is, again, to try to get rid of that idea of it being the Mexican Halloween. Do a Venn diagram. Once you went through your lesson, like it is a great wrap-up. And then with that is very clear, spooky, not spooky, monsters, no monsters, fear and pain and love and family. So I think that is a powerful way to wrap up that.
I
Yeah.
love that. Now, I have to move on. I was supposed to show a few things teachers could do during the day, but this conversation's been so amazing that I couldn't stop it. So I'm going to speed show some things that you could do during the day. And if either of you two have things to add, then please feel free. But this has been so amazing. I'm so grateful to all three of you for your contributions and for listening and for being here to share all of this with all of us. Really quickly, some things you could do before Day of the Dead are, as you talked about, hang some papel picado in your classroom. Or this is a video about making the beautiful paper flowers that are used for decoration. So you might do some decorating with your students before the holiday and during the holiday to get them ready to celebrate. These are some other resources you can use before. This is a video that's all about different food that you can eat during the holiday, which is great for food vocabulary. And then also you could make some food and eat it, which is always a wonderful and delicious thing to do with your students. And then we have a couple of books. Marta, would you like to talk about Sholo super fast? We're speed talking, but it's
Yeah,
really
well,
good.
yeah, I mean, this is the book that one of the books that I wrote is called Xolo, and it is based on the legend of the Xolo Squintle. And yeah, that could be tied into a Day of the Dead, even though it's not just Day of the Dead thing, but it is the Xolo Squintle, the dog that guides us through the afterworld. So I hope you take it up, give it a shot. Mhm.
Sorry, I can't think we're done. I like the connection to the Aztecs and the history. They get kind of like it's like the pre-teaching to me. It's like getting them used to it. And then really quickly, this other book I did write. It's my teenager illustrated. It's the true story of our fight to save our milkweed garden. But in the process, the main character, who's a teenage girl trying to make a difference in the world, learns about the history of the Aztec butterflies and their journey to Mexico. So that is another thing you could do before the holiday. This is a Day of the Dead reading that we have in Voces. We have it in Spanish and English for all students, so you can reach all of your students. And then there are some questions, so it's a reading you could do during. And this is a freebie, so I am putting the link in the chat in just a moment here. And this is available to everyone for free, and students can read it in Spanish or English. and then they can answer the questions and print their answers and then send it to you. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the chat. Not copying for 1 second. Give me just one. Oh, there it is. Okay. So that's another one you could do. And then this is Flangu, and Flangu.com is our virtual library. So students can read about different topics at all different levels with comprehension questions and native speaker audio. So that's there for you too. You could do some reading during. Or you could do, as Marta already said, it's like she's already seen my slides, a Venn diagram and compare Dia de Muertos with another holiday. I always like to compare it to Thanksgiving rather than Halloween because I feel like it's more of like a gathering and communal family celebration. But you can compare it to whatever holiday you want with your students. So obviously keeping in mind all of the wonderful things our panelists told us about it not being about being scary, but being about love. I love that, Nelly. That made me so happy. And then during, of course, we have the sugar skulls. Marta and Nelly and our other wonderful panelists talked about these. I used to make them with my students, and I would have the third graders actually mixing up the sugar and the powder. I can't remember what that makes it kind of harden. And my students would want to eat it. And I would tell them there have been about 120 students' hands in there. You cannot eat that. So the sugar skulls are great, though. I had students who made it in third grade and still had them when they were 18 and graduated. So they kept them, and it was like a point of pride. They loved them. And then this is a video about Day of the Dead, which you could also show during. After, once the students know about the holiday, you could go ahead and read a book that includes the holiday. And these are just 2 of these that we have at Voces Digital. Myra is here, and Teachers Discovery as well. Myra is here, and I would ask her if she wanted to talk about it, but we don't really have time because we've already gone over because our panelists were so amazing. So if you have any questions, you can email info@vocesdigital.com or help@teachersdiscovery.com, or those are our phone numbers and my email address. Again, just thank you so much to our panelists. This was such a special discussion, and I just feel so honored to be able to host it and to be here. And thanks to Voces and Teachers Discovery for making this happen. And to all of the teachers that showed up to listen and learn. How wonderful.